We're joined now by one of the sponsors of that effort, Congresswoman Cammack, the Republican out of Florida. Welcome back, Congresswoman. It's good to have you on the show. On that kind of big picture issue following the murder of Charlie Kirk yesterday and, people coming together and what role you can play in it, what would you say?
Well, it's good to be back with you, and I still am just stunned, as so many of my colleagues and Americans around the country are. We're all in a bit of a state of shock. But the fact remains that we cannot let hate become the new normal. I've said for years that we're living through the era of angertainment. Well, I think we've crossed that line where anger has graduated into violence. And violence, whether it is red, blue, white, black, it doesn't matter. It's unacceptable. We can never allow for political violence to become normal in this country. And I've been really encouraged by some of my colleagues who have spoken out, but I've been exceptionally discouraged by some of the things I've seen on social media from just people from everyday walk of life cheering and celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And so we have to do better collectively as Americans, not Republicans or Democrats, but as Americans, we have to band together because really, as a new mom, I see this as the future of our country on the line. This is our moment to really rise above the violent rhetoric.
I agree with what my friend Chris Hahn said a few minutes ago, that we all could, we could take some individual responsibility to all of this, and you as someone in politics, me as someone on television and media, and do a little bit more. Social media is a place, as you bring up, that people really are focused on over the last couple of days. Charlie Kirk's so influential with young people. I think that's part of it. But also the way these algorithms push these videos. The Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna tweeting out that she was calling on Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and TikTok to remove the horrifying videos of Charlie Kirk's murder. He has a family, young children. No one should be forced to relive this tragedy online. They're not the only graphic videos of horrifying murder circulating. At some point, social media begins to desensitize humanity. We must still value life. So she says, please take them down. And that gets to, Congresswoman, this question of the effect of that and whether, the reaction when people, mental health is a question. People see that and it affects them, okay. But also, what's their own personal reaction? Does seeing violence lead to more violence?
Well, we know clearly the tie between a decline in mental health and increased use on social media, because we know that the algorithms are designed to keep you scrolling and to show you more and more outrageous content to keep you glued to the screen. These behavioral algorithms, as we've shown, certainly when there was an effort to take on TikTok, for example, we saw where there was a lot of that type of content that was being shown to children. So I think we have to be cognizant that there are very violent things on social media that, in the case of Charlie Kirk, I would never want his children to ever see that video.
Of course not. Can you guys do something about it, or would you try in Congress?
Again, these are public or private companies,
right,
and so I think that there's something that there's a balance to be struck here. I've also heard from some of my colleagues that want to deplatform people who have said very hateful things. The very thing that Charlie stood for was truth and freedom of speech. He would have never wanted to deplatform someone because of their political beliefs. And so I think the best that we can do to honor his legacy is to stand up for our Constitution, for the freedom that we have to express ourselves. But the minute that speech turns into infringing on another person's rights, that's when we draw the line. So it's a delicate balance, but a conversation that we need to have. And despite the fact that this assassin tried to end the conversation that Charlie had dedicated his life to having in some of the most hostile environments around the country and even in other countries, I think we have a duty as Americans to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, we will, and I think what you said is true. It is nuanced. You talk about private enterprise and how that interacts with government and regulations. All of that's legit. Thank you, Congresswoman. Let's keep that conversation going. Thanks for coming on tonight. The Congresswoman from Florida, Cammack. Now, these are